Why, hello there. It's me, Jeremy, your favorite bald dude telling you about Standard and Strange, a store and a brand with simple rules. Sell clothes they themselves would wear, manufacture it ethically, and build it to last. From boots made in Oregon to loop wheel garments made in Japan, find all the best clothes for your wardrobe at Standard and Strange. StandardandStrange.com. Hey folks, it's Jeremy Kirkland. You're listening to Blammo. How are we doing? Did we all watch the big game last night? The Super Bowl? The crazy game? The Chiefs? The Eagles? Are we ticked? Are we elated? Are we overjoyed? I watched it. It was fun. Good game. That is my Super Bowl report. Way to go, everybody. Other than that, we're alive. We're hanging in there one day at a time. I'm full on adulting with all my adult problems, dealing with things like toilets that don't flush right and make noises and air vents that, you know, all this like living in a house, being an adult stuff. It's crazy. And I think about, man, sometimes I just want to go grab my skateboard. I want to go back to me in the early 90s, trying to kickflip, trying to do my thing, learning how to skate, owning the world and feeling as cool as I'd ever felt in my life. Funny enough, that is that person that I thought about all the time is my guest this week. His name's Alex Corporan. I mean, he's actually pretty difficult to describe because he does it all. I mean, he's an editor, he's a photographer, he's a DJ, but for most people, he's known as one of the most groundbreaking pioneers of street skateboarding in the 1980s, specifically New York. I mean, Alex and his crew, I mean, they were constantly getting chased around New York, but they made the city their own and they documented all of it. Not with their phones, come on, this is the 80s here, with their cameras and video cameras, and they perfectly summarized it in their book, Full Bleed. It's an incredible book. If you don't have it, you got to pick it up. There's a link in the show notes, but it's incredible. It's more or less a photojournalism book that shows early skateboarding culture as well as New York. It's incredible. It's basically like a Bible if you're into skateboarding. But he was on the show. It was a fantastic conversation. Alex and I discussed how he helped pioneer skateboarding in New York City, the early days managing Supreme, how he feels about skate culture being mainstream, keeping the vibes positive, and the 10th anniversary of his epic skate photography book, Full Bleed. Let's get to it. Well, Alex, thanks for making the time to chat.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I'd love to chat with you obviously about the book, but a little bit about you, because I think a lot of people don't realize, for me, you are kind of like one of the OG original like New York crew. Like when people think about New York skateboarding, like Alex Corporan's in there. And I know it's Corporan, but like,
and that's Corporan, however you guys say it. Here, it's Corporan for me because I'm born and raised in New York. So it's been,
But like, I am curious, like how some of this stuff started. Like, I mean, if you want to talk about SES or whatever, and we can talk about early Supreme, but I mean, before Full Bleed and before this like New York scene, there really was nothing, right?
There was nothing around. It was like the few heads downtown, like Andy Kessler and all those guys, like they were doing all of this thing, like because they started in the 70s, but it was only a few of them, you know, before the original Zoo York artists started. Yeah. Like before Zoo York started, there was Zoo York artists. So there was like just a few of them. So there wasn't much traction going on. Even when I started because I was in Washington Heights, and that was like, when I tell people Washington Heights, they're like, what? In the 80s? I was like, yeah, that was like, you know, people get shocked because it was like, it used to be the coke capital of the world at one point. Yeah. It's like, you go there to you come from Jersey, you come from Connecticut, you come from everywhere to get it, you know? Yeah. So
it's not Lin-Manuel Miranda town at that time.
Yeah. There's no townhouses with fences, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The White House with the picket fence didn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, so you grew up here, you know, with skateboarding. I mean, like, how did you first get into it? And I know some of these things you've answered before, so like, you know, kind of humor me on some of this stuff.
Oh no, I started because my best friend Freddie Valerio was skating. So somehow you got a skateboard from Skates on Heights from San Francisco, because there's no real skate shops out here yet. Yeah, like there was some, but it wasn't like, again, it wasn't like a go-to thing like now where you're like, oh yeah, let me go to KCDC and then let me go to Labor, and let me go to Supreme. You know, there's like so many choices now.
Right.
Back then, there's like one in a dozen, and it was like skate shops carrying other stuff. But then, so, you know, once you see your best friend doing something, you want to do it also with them. So I got a board, ordered the board from there. Told my mom, like, please order a board. I want to skate for Freddie. And then when the minute I touched it, like I said, it's just ruled my world. It was just one of those magical moments. I was like, oh, my world is over. That's it. This is what I'm doing. Here I go. And it just started just taking me into like another side of New York that a lot of people have never seen, because, you know, a lot of people would stick in their neighborhoods and only stay like, you know, I'm here and I'm there. Like, well, I'm only LES. I'm only in Harlem. I'm only uptown. It took us to the adventure of New York.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you called that out, because I don't think a lot of people look at New York now as one big neighborhood. And people that grew up in New York are like, no.
Yeah.
You know, I'm from Sheepshead, or I'm from Washington Heights or Harlem, and like, that's where I stayed. Like, I didn't, people weren't riding the train as much as they do now.
Not like that.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Nah, it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like the Warriors. The Warriors was something that kind of set that program. With people stayed in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, how did you first venture to find spots to skate? Because you weren't, I mean, initially you said you guys would go through like Fort Tryon Park and stuff like that, you know, which is kind of like in your area. But like, what was it like when you first started venturing outside of Washington Heights?
It was a amazing adventure, because we heard about this place called the Brooklyn Banks that has like a wave type of deal. And we're like, let's go check it out. And then went downtown, saw it, skated it. And from there, it was the wild ride. And then it's like, go to the seaport, go all around the city. You're in the Wall Street area. And it was fun, because like the Banks was such the meeting spot to find out your growth of where you're going to go skateboarding. Because that's what everyone from all the boroughs knew where to go. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, you skate in your neighborhood. Like for us was like Bennett Park, Fort Tryon Park. You know, we're bombing the hills. We used to be called the mini SF back then. So you know, to venture like that was amazing. And venturing was not being liked on top of that. It wasn't like we were cool. We're like dirty motherfuckers just on the train. Just like, no, we're just like, we don't know what's going on and what we're doing, but we're doing it. And we just know how to get there. There was no cell phone. So if you didn't meet us at Bennett Park at 9 o'clock in the morning, skate with us for 2 or 3 hours, and then we'll all break out and be like, there's no like, yo, we're going to wait for so-and-so. It's like, we're out. And then you see your friend like in the park, like, where you know, there's no way to call us, because you had to call our mom's house, or like, and we didn't tell our mom and dad's where the hell we were going, because on top of that, they would freak out. You know, it wasn't like it was something cool to tell your mom and dad, like, I'm going to go downtown and I'm just going to skate around the city. It's like that's foreign, especially in the 80s. That wasn't something that you tell your mom, like, yeah, I'm going to go meet my friend on 13th Street and just chill. It's like, how are you getting on the train? I only gave you $4. Like, how are you doing it? You know, like, those $4 were for like to share a burger with somebody, a quart of water, a big tub of water, you know. Yeah. It's like, it was one of those like, how do you make $4 go far with your friends?
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I'm a little younger than you, but for me, when I'd first got into skating, it was because of people like, you know, you and your crew. I mean, this was the early 90s for me, right? And we had just discovered 411. Oh, yeah. And so this was already, you know, after you all had created like documented skate culture, because there wasn't, you know, and I say this, you know this, but a lot of people, it's like there wasn't the phone where you could easily record something and share it immediately. Like you have to wait like every couple months like to get the new 411. It was like the most exciting thing on earth, and it was like, who's gonna get it? Because, you know, again, it was expensive.
Yeah, parents didn't understand, like, why am I going to pay for a VHS tape for skateboarding, you know?
Yeah.
For them, like, they'd rather buy a Terminator for us, you know, like something like that. But it was like, oh, let's okay, I'll buy you one, son. You're like, there's no way on earth.
When, like, how long had you been skating when you all started to document it?
I was already started at 13, 14. So by the time I started documenting it, my father had bought a family camera, and I kind of just went, took it from him.
Took it, yeah.
Yeah, because like film and photography are like I was so blown away by like the surfing and all that stuff that would come up once in a blue moon, like on a Saturday, like out of nowhere, maybe like 8 a.m. And then you see like the Oceanside video. And then the first video I ever owned was Future Primitive, and then
classic.
Then Animal Chin. And when I saw what Stacy Peralta was doing with the camera, I was like, I have to film my friends like this. Obviously, you didn't realize they had quality top fucking Hollywood cameras filming all that stuff.
True, yeah.
So, you know, but still, like, I had the angles in mind. There are certain things that, like, my head was like, how do we do this? How do I film this, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, you have a very distinctive, like, eye. And, like, you know, I mean, because you're kind of a bit of everything. I mean, I don't even know what to call you. I mean, you're an editor, you're a photographer, videographer, director. I mean, what would you even
I don't know
label yourself as?
I have no idea. I just do it all. Like, whatever.
Don?
Yeah, something. I don't know. I just love it. That's it. I think that's the thing. I just like I enjoy something that was so like brand new.
Yeah,
we're able to like really put our foot right there and just keep on doing it.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is also, while you're doing this, no one likes it. No one's welcoming you guys. You got dogs getting sicked on you.
Yeah, sick. The security guards, friends' parents, our own parents. People are like, who the hell are you guys? Like, it's just a really funny time.
Yeah, I mean, what made you keep going with that? I mean, when that stuff happened to me, I was scared.
It was freaky mentally, but we started building this family of people together. So we just became this circle of trust with each other. Like, yo, we're not letting no one in unless they're like down with us. And that was it.
Yeah, power in numbers.
Yeah.
So then, like, come the 90s, and this is where I think like skate culture became much, you know, it was still kind of underground, but it was like cool underground, where, you know, CCS had popped up, and 4-in-1, and even things like Thrasher, Transworld, and all that, I think was like becoming a little bit more, you know, underground, sort of mainstream. But even then, it was all West Coast stuff until you guys start popping up. You know, I mean, Brooklyn Banks, I mean, that stuff, that was like Burnside and everything else. Yeah,
exactly. But it's pretty funny, though, because we had the Brooklyn Banks, and everyone from the West Coast wanted to come to Brooklyn Banks. But the biggest time the West Coast came here and they got blown away was the Tompkins Square contest in 1989, thrown by Skate NYC. And we had like all of the H Street guys here. They had like everyone was here, like that you could dream of. Because again, it was a small group, and it was like the New York guys with the California guys skating the same contest together. Like, wait, I'm skating with Sean Sheffy over here, and like, you know, all the Shuck guys are like raw from New York and just surprising all the guys from like, you know, California. They're like, what the fuck? Who are these maniacs? So it was such a great energy, and I think that right there, that was the full connection where New York street skating and California street skating just blew up together. Because the hot teams at the time was H Street, when Tony Magnuson started, you know, with Mike Tanansky, and that was where we were looking up to, and we're like, wow. And it's so funny that we fly out there. I'm like, oh, where's the other spot? And it's like, no, you got to drive like 40 miles.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why over here, everyone got blown away, because we're like, oh, no, we're just right down there. Right down there.
Yeah, do it all in a day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you could go skate Midtown, downtown, Lower East Side, everything in like one day and have a great session.
Like, when did you start to realize that it's more than a hobby. Like you can actually start to make a living off this stuff.
I mean, I knew it from the beginning, from like how much I loved it, but I think it was once H Street kind of like, because the Bones Brigade was like the gods, and we didn't know what to do. Like, how do you do it? Like, what do we do with these guys? Like, we have no idea, you know, like with their like California style and everything. But I knew, like, for us, for street skating, I knew it was going to be different. Like, after, I think, the Tompkins Square contest, I knew, like, the energy, we showed the energy to everyone else, and we knew that. And then everyone started getting picked up by companies from there. So a lot of people had eyes on us right after that.
Yeah. Who was the first company you started working with?
I started with two companies from New York, one from Jersey, one from Queens. One from Jersey was called Jab Skateboards. I skated for. Then I skated for Poverty. Then I was with GNS for a little bit when I went to San Diego for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I worked at Hamill's skate shop out there, and then I was like, oh yeah, sending boards out like to everyone, like some New York dirty shit, like back to boards, like
yeah,
this stuff. And then I came to New York, and I was just getting boards like from different companies, just like people were sending me shit. And then after that, I was just part of the New York family right there in '93, just a part of it. I was on the team. I was just with the family. So it was like, it's like when we did Supreme, it's like some people were really on the team, then those people that were family that's still getting treated the same way. But you know, the family version, you don't get a check. The guys that actually skated for them, yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because then you started managing Supreme, right?
I started managing Supreme like around 96, 97. I'd like in between that. Mm-hmm. But I was, again, the New York family started in there, and then when James opened up Supreme, was there from the very beginning with everyone. So we were just there, and then they let me in as a full-time employee all the way until 2004 when I left.
Which, yeah, I mean, because then you got to be at the Supreme where it wasn't just like insanity all day.
Oh no,
I mean, because that was you left right around the time I moved to New York. So I moved to New York in 2004. And I remember I had some buddies who were like, oh, you should go to Supreme. They got, this is before, it was before like the bigger collabs. I think this was like before Visvim and stuff, but like there was some, you guys were Nike SB, you were selling some of that stuff.
Yeah.
You just started at that time.
I was there when I was one of the guys that helped push it. Like once it came to the store, we were there pushing it. But like Supreme used to be like you and I just talking just like this for a long time. Just like at the store, like from 11:30 until like maybe 3 o'clock. Oh, there goes some people coming in. It's not like now where you can't even like walk into the store like to work because there's a line forever.
Yeah, I mean, I am curious, and I'm sure you've talked about this before. Like, how have you felt where initially, if we look back, skateboarding was basically like a way to be accepted, and it was, you skated because the world wasn't as accepting, and you created your own culture. I mean, literally from this amalgamation of every different background, all that you had to love was skating, and you were in. And now, like, skating is incredibly mainstream. And in some ways, some like younger kids are like, man, everyone skates. I don't even know if I should do that anymore.
Oh, yeah. Back then, people were like, what? We want to be a part of it. What are you guys doing? And we're just like, we didn't shun them. We're just like, hey, do what you got to do. But, it's not like we let everyone in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so, I mean, how have you felt with now that like skateboarding is super mainstream and like Supreme is like, you got, little kids wearing Supreme or people flipping box logos, like that whole culture that came from it.
It's just a progression of life, you can't stay cool the whole time, right? At the end of the day, you just got to keep on going. It's like, let's say, like Guns N' Roses, they're awesome. And then all of a sudden selling out big stadiums, and then they have to do all these weird shows where they have to make money. It's that same progression. It's like, you have to make money, at the end of the day. But as long as they're having fun with it, and like James still keeps it great because he kept Fat Bill on, and he has like Todd Jordan like part of it, and it's just, and Kyle, obviously, it's good to see that he's always keeping it fresh with the people that are there from like the heart of it, not the people that are trying to be like cool. Like he kept that legacy on.
I mean, that is key. Like, I mean, and I don't even know how to verbally explain that, where it's like the essence of it. Cause like I love Supreme and then I hate Supreme and I love it. But at the end of the day, I still respect it.
Oh,
like
no, the respect is there big time. And I love it. I love seeing something that was from the beginning with a whole bunch of us to seeing the phenomenon that it is. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, it still feels authentic to me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I remember I was getting these like Nike SBs there, and I would just get like a hoodie or something at that time. And, it was just like, it was smaller things. I mean, I think when I first got some of the early Supreme, they had just done the like reinforced seat Dickie style pant.
Oh yeah.
And that was like the skate pant. And I was trying to skate, like I used to skate in the 90s and stuff, but I was like never that good, but I could barely do anything, but it was still like the way to move around, the way to like, chill and have fun. And when I was in New York, I was trying to skate and I was just getting lapped like in a heartbeat. Like people were just like, nah, fam, like maybe you should do something else. I'm like, oh, I used to skate when I was younger. They're like, yeah. They're like, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 18. And they're like, yeah, you're still younger, buddy. Like, I don't think you got it.
You gotta climb the ladder. Ladder. Man, that's what it is with skateboarding now. These kids don't want to climb the ladder. They want instant gratification. And they forget like what we were talking about before, like with the 411s and even getting a magazine. Like, where would you get a magazine? You have to like find it. You have to like, all right, Solo Skates might have it, or maybe Skate NYC, but it was so hard to find a magazine to even get inspired. We didn't have that Insta like, oh, look at that. I mean, how many times you watched the H3 video or the world video? Like, you would just sit there and just like, I'll watch it like 100 times. Like now,
I like destroyed my VCR on these things, or I kept rewinding it, and I was trying to pause it, and then you remember you had like the little auto tracking thing because I'd pause it, but I couldn't see exactly how I was doing it.
We used to burn out VCRs like it was going out of style. Like if the game of the sneaker and the clothing game was, if their VCR companies knew that back then for skateboarding, they would have been more gazillions.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Imagine somebody would have found out, like somebody like you and I would have been in that. And they're like, I know how to talk to the CEO of a company. Watch. Branded some skateboard like name VCR. Just like, this for you guys burning it out.
So then you do Full Bleed, down the road. And this is before obviously the 10th anniversary, which is what we're talking about now. But like, what made you want to capture all this stuff? Like, what gave you the idea to document this, especially with the labor that is required to document at that time?
It's just the love of skateboarding, the love of photography, just New York City being our backdrop, and people now understanding what New York City stemmed from. So to show people a visual thing of like, this is what skateboarding looks like in New York City. Because if you see us down the street, you see us trying to ollie over pump while we're cruising, and you see us fall, you'll just laugh at us and be like, But we didn't have the skate parks back then, So it was, that was just my idea, really. And I was like, oh, let me show them that how New York City is our full skate park. And that's where I was like, and I'm, being in skateboarding forever, I'm friends with all the photographers and all that stuff. So I started, hey man, I'm thinking about doing this book on New York City, but it's not going to be a skate magazine. So I don't really want skate magazine photo types. I want like artsy, like showing, because I know everyone has it.
Yeah, it wasn't like it. Yeah, because it's not just big handrails. I mean, it's a life in this book.
I just want to show a lifestyle of New York City, showing everyone, not only New York City people. I was like, no, anyone that's here. I just want that quality of like how New York City, that energy of New York City. And I finally got to do it. I did it part way for a year, and then I found it very hard because I was up to 30 photographers at one time. But I was going through fucking so many photos, like, digital, like everything going negatives, going through everything. And then I was getting frustrated at one point, and I was like, damn, who do I need to find that's not a jaded skateboarder in the community? Because at the time, after 1999, after a lot of companies had folded, and all my friends, the main crew kind of like, just kind of, we didn't leave each other, but skateboarding was like, that was like part-time. It wasn't even part-time.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Ivory with Serra about it. And Sarah's like, yeah, I'll help you. He's a photographer, an amazing skateboarder, him and his twin brother. And I was like, Ivory always has a good attitude, and he is part of the Alleged Gallery crew. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck yeah, Ivory, let's do this. Let's help me out. And we started going at it. And then after a couple months, we were like, wait, we need somebody to lay this shit out. I was like, I don't know how to do InDesign and all that. And neither did Ivory. Ivory's a fucking fantastic photographer, but the time for him to do all that, it's different because he has his own studio and doing his own thing like that. So I was like, who are we going to get? He's like, how about Andre Razzo? I was like, that beautiful soul? Hell yeah. Done. So us three teamed up and just started doing it. And we're rocking and rolling on it. And the funny thing is, before Andy Kessler passed away, Andy Kessler's like, hey, man, I heard you doing this book. I want to see it. I want to see what's going on. Because Andy's very, possessive of New York. Because, he's one of the first known skateboarders from New York City. He's like, I want to see Alex. What's up? And we went upstairs to the Spike TV office because that's where we were doing it up. Because that's where Andre worked at the time. And he's like, you know what? This is awesome. And you're the only guy I like from your crew. From the whole skate crew, from the 90s. He's like, you're kind of the only guy I really like. I was like, wow, okay. I was like, I take that. But no, it was a fun journey. And then so we got the book, kind of looks like it's finished. Okay. And then we started writing a list of publishers, and then we had Vice, we had Rizzoli, we had a great list of 10.
Yeah.
And since Andre knew Sarush, he set up a meeting, and we go there. They're checking it out. Ben Dietz was working the whole marketing and everything for it. He's like, all right, we sit there. Little room, turn lights out. It's on a slide. Everything stays quiet after seeing it. They're like, looks like you guys got a full book already. But we'll get back to you soon. Yeah. They got back to us next week. They're like, come over. And we're like, what? Us three, me, Andre, and Ivory started shuffling. Like, oh shit, we gotta really finish up the book now. And then we did it. They took it. They published it. They went off, and then Rossi from Milk Studios did our first big show, and that was like, wow, big skate show at Milk Studios. That was unheard of also. So the book has done some unheard of stuff, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, all the names you're casually mentioning of oh, my friend this and friend that, for listeners, it's all if there was a Hall of Fame of just legends, they're all just your homies. Attention! Do you even loop wheel, bro? Do you know what loop wheel garments are? Look, I actually didn't, honestly. I was just oh, it's a flex, or it's this special kind of cotton. But no. The folks at Standard & Strange dropped a ton of incredible knowledge bombs, and their incredible Loop Wheel tee, made in Japan, of course. Back to Loop Wheel. It's an antique circular knitting machine that relies on gravity and uses spring-bearded needles. What the heck? Do you even get it? Look, all you need to know is it's dope. It's better if you want to learn more. Visit standardandstrange.com/Loop Wheel and check out their new Loop Wheel tees. Your boy is partial to yellow because, duh. But the tees are fire no matter what color. The fit is spot on, and it's a classic tee that looks like it's from every era, to be honest with you, and fits like a dream. And it's from the folks at Standard & Strange, the shop that helps you own fewer, better things, run by industry vets who are focused on incredible product from incredible vendors. And look, if that's not your vibe, check out some of their huge offerings of Japanese denim or boots. But listen, the shirts, fam, the shirts. So, if you want to know more, visit standardandstrange.com. Loop Wheel, baby. That's standardandstrange.com.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And then, the book is doing great. Fantastic. Vice sold to MTV Books. So it kind of got lost in the sauce for a couple years. But, people were still asking for it. And then right before COVID, I was like, dude, Andre, Ivory, let's do a 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, all right. But, we don't want to do the legwork. I was like, don't worry. I got it. Let's do this. I got my friend Dakota from 169 Bar. He said that we've been talking about this, and he said he just he invested in a publishing company. And he's like, yo, let's do it. We got it. So we did. We got to go do Salamander Books, and that went amazing. I wanted to add more pages to it. The one from 10 years ago was awesome, but I wanted to add more photographers that were younger, and some people that didn't make the book. So I want them to feel that, I wasn't just over here. I was like, I'm about the future over there, here in the future. I wanted everyone to be in it.
Yeah.
And it worked out great. But then COVID happened. Jeez, like everyone else. Our books are stuck in the middle of ocean in India. And I'm pissing myself off. Like, I'm just like, oh, this sucks. I was like, are these books ever going to make it? And then it came, and we've just been going off with it. Thanks to George and Dakota. They've been doing such a great job.
And also, I mean, you got a pretty big cosign with the Tony Hawk intro.
Yeah, George was like, if you could get me Tony Hawk to do the forward, then we're definitely going to do it. I was like, bet. I was like, and I know Tony, but I was like, what's the easiest way to get to Tony? Because I know he's like the busiest man in skateboarding ever. He's like, who could reach out to him faster? I was like, call the Bruno Musso, who started Shut with Ronnie Smith and stuff. I was like, Bruno, can you get me Tony right away? Tell him it's Alex. He's like, from New York. He's like, all right, let's see what I can do. Tony finally hit me up. He's like, oh, cool, I'll do it. And he's like, I don't really know what to write. I was like, just write what you feel. It's like about New York City.
That's great. That's great advice, honestly.
That's it. Just write what you feel about New York City, and then he did it, got that. And like I said, took off. Got 400 pages, hardcover. And I just want to keep on showing kids that what skateboarding history in New York was never started now. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah, because I mean the book, I have it, and it's not just skate history too. I mean it's New York history.
New York history.
Especially as someone, I lived in New York. I moved during COVID, but I lived there for about 16 some odd years. And I moved there when people are like, man, New York's done. New York's done. It's over. Right. As someone who's lived in New York their whole life, more or less, like, what is your take on it? Because I think some people that grew up a long time, they're like, man, it's not OG anymore. It's all
definitely not OG no more. There's still pockets,
Okay.
But once again, we're the historians. We're the ones that get to tell the story about this and do it without putting down people. Because that's the thing that's wrong with when I say jaded. It's like, it's more like there's a lot of people that are like, oh no, I I love the old New York and all that. And it's like, I wanted to sometimes. there's elements that you don't ever want to see again. There's no way, but again, you got to understand everything's growth and you have to go with it. And you have to be the historian to tell people what went on in New York skateboarding and New York itself without putting down people like, oh, you don't know shit. It's like you guide people through it instead of like putting people down. Cause that's where when people are like, fuck you guys, I don't care. This is my shit now. You don't want people to be that way.
Yeah. So that's a really specific outlook. And it's a very like warm and forgiving outlook. But I imagine you might not have had that when you were younger. What do you think gave you that outlook now?
Well, the outlook gave me from me just fighting for what I love. That's it, not caring. And it showed me how to respect others, myself, and respect my environment. Just keep on moving. Because again, people want to stay in one place and just hold on to one place. I'm just like, I want to be everywhere. I want to see everything.
Yeah, I mean, because that's an empathetic outlook. Yeah. That's like a big love outlook. Yeah. That's, I mean, at the time, skate culture was the apathetic outlook.
Exactly. I mean, back in the day, the only time you figured out somebody skated, you saw them with Vans. It's not like now where everyone was wearing Vans. There's only like 10 people like wearing it, and you'd be like, yo, you skate, don't you? Even not on your skateboard, you'd be like, look for the hole one sneaker. You're like, oh yeah, he skates for sure.
Oh yeah, look near the toe, look at the outside toe.
Look at the outside toe, see the toe cap, see if it's all. Yeah. And that's when you knew that was like the back of the neck because people couldn't afford shoes. Not like now. Like when even before I left Supreme, then I saw kids like buying $168 shoes like out of nowhere. I was just like, how the living fuck do you do that? You buy more than one pair. And you're coming against, I was like, where did that money come from? I remember like growing up with nothing.
Right. I mean, that's a thing. I mean, in some ways, but I think it's good because I mean, I know a bunch of skaters who skated like back in the day and they're like just curmudgeons.
Oh, dude.
They're like, man, when I was doing it, we did it like this. And I'm like, well, at least with these kids, like no one's trying to like stomp on you.
No,
like,
exactly.
And like people started these things as a way to have community.
Yep.
So like, why can't we celebrate this community here
together
versus just like be pissed off?
Exactly. Life's life. Like I said, we have to keep on showing the example, and that's why we're always going to have the upper hand in a positive way to be like, hey, this is what's up. This is what we're doing. This is how we did it.
Yeah.
And let's do it together because. The hand's passed off to you now. Let's go.
Do you have any kids?
I have a daughter.
Okay, that's where it came from. Got it.
But she doesn't skate.
You got some love and forgiveness in you, my man.
Oh, big time, man.
Yeah. I feel like kids really soften you in the best possible way.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah.
Does she skate?
No, she doesn't. She's like, she knows she looks beautiful and she wants to be like this architect, gorgeous girl wearing all these rings and all that stuff. She's she's on the other end of what I used to do, like with dad. Now she's like, I know what you used to do, Dad. I'm like, I was like that. And then again, that's why I worked at Supreme because there's no money, and lucky that I was modeling at the time a lot too, so I had an agent and all that. So that's where my money was coming from. It was like doing 50 things at once, but then the main focus was skateboarding. All the other stuff was like, this is how I'm going to make money real quick. So I could so I could survive this lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, because the modeling thing, you got like scouted off the street, right?
No, pretty much. Yeah. I don't remember how it all began, but all of a sudden I just started doing it and I was like, all right. Oh, that was great.
Do you consider yourself like into fashion?
I love it. It's another thing that grew very like it grew slow. It grew slow but fast at the same time. But I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's the thing now where you know, a lot of people talk about a lot of fashion designers. And I mean, this is true. Friends of mine that are designers or creative directors, they all have like punk rock roots.
Yeah.
And not just that, like their attitude's punk rock, but that they were all into punk rock music. You know, I mean, and you know, you like folks like Brendan and stuff. And you know, there was always some kind of like additional layer behind them that they were like kind of tapping culture with. And now I feel like a lot of people that are fashion, they all take roots from skateboarding. You know, I mean, there are brands like a good friend of mine, Antonio Ciangoli, he runs a brand called 18 East, and it's all the core of that brand. And I say this in a loving way is like skateboarding and skate culture. I mean, cause he was on the Vermont skate, you know, crew.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're skating mountains and snowboarding and all that other stuff, but like that is very much a thing where a lot of people don't even realize now that the clothes that they're buying, the roots of those clothes. I mean, Supreme is the best example.
Yeah.
It's skate culture.
Exactly. And look at him like Ali Ashamore and Eli Gesner. They started Fat Farm. Like, you know, that's crazy. And that's what two skateboarders that are talented artists that they started that thing back in the day, way back. And Ali Ash is still one of my most talented super friends that I know that just makes everything look so good. And he's just such an awesome skateboarder and a rocking DJ.
What do you think? Is there something that people learn while they're skating that help like their minds open up more creatively? Or do you think that's just they have that mind and that's why they're skating? No,
it's the freedom of expression of you're not like told to do like a trick a certain way. It's like you just do it. And that's what's beautiful. It's like, and no one's going to judge you. It's like you just go and just enjoy, push around. Even if you're just pushing around, it's a beautiful feeling. You feel like that sense of freedom. It's almost like the same thing when people tell you about riding a Harley, you know, but the difference is like with skateboarding, like that like just slashing and just pushing around and just ollie up the sidewalk, then ollie off. And then if you have tricks, you know, you do a backside 180 over a garbage can and you're just flowing down the streets, like you're surfing the streets. And that's the beauty of like when it brings that energy out of you, like when you're just like, oh, you feel free and you're good.
Yeah. So on the 10th anniversary, you got almost double the photographers and people in. Yeah. And, you know, one of those folks is like Spike Jones. How did you get connected with Spike?
Well, I've known Spike for a while, but I think Ivory got that. Andre got that photo for the book from Spike. Mm. Yeah. And that photo was Mike Hernandez doing backside one tail, and Malali's our first real skate park. That was like the most jankiest skate park on earth. And if you try to go skate it, you'll get to go in. You have to sneak over the fence or like try to make yourself cool. And if it was nightfall, you have to jump over the fence and just push your ass off to the train station. It was. I swear, man, there's stuff that we had to go through to lay the land for everyone. It was hilarious. And it's so great we can laugh at it now.
Yeah, I was gonna say because like that, there's stuff that I think about that I was doing when I was younger, right. And when I think about if my kids ever want to do this, I'm like, nope.
Exactly.
Like, no way, you can't do that. But you did it. Nope. Nope, doesn't matter. I was dumb. You're not.
Exactly. It's like, you're not dumb.
That's gnarly.
Yeah.
So like what other stuff do you have coming up in the future? I mean, obviously, you know, this book has been a pretty big labor of love and a lot of work, but do you see yourself making more books or?
I have, something pretty big that's coming out that I can't talk about yet, but you're definitely going to be hearing about it soon enough, I hope, in the next couple of months. Yeah. Which I'm very proud of. And I can't say nothing about it yet, but like, it's not a
fair
book.
I respect that.
It's not a book, but you know, it's something, you know, it's a film, you know, that's going to be full on documentary.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to leave it right there.
There we go. I'm all into that. I mean,
I'll leave that doc right there. It's gonna be something it's gonna be something that you'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Did you watch Tony Hawk's doc?
Oh, hell
the
yeah.
Wheels Fall Off?
Yeah.
That was pretty incredible.
It was amazing. It was I love that guy. He's just dope. He's just.
I mean, yeah, especially now when I do like the fact that they talked about towards the end. I mean, spoiler alert if people haven't seen it. Like the dude's just destroying his body.
Yeah.
You know, and like all of us are at an age now where it's like maybe you should be a little bit more careful.
Oh, dude, I'm so careful now. They just like,
especially for your kids, right?
Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna be able to walk around. Like, I'm fine with speeding down the street, do a slappy, and it's cruising, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
I think I did my due. Now I could just chill, cruise.
Yeah, nothing to prove anymore.
Yeah, nothing to prove. I'll do the behind the scenes stuff like this, like the book, and help out people and like help people be in life. You're not gonna, yeah.
Yeah. Do you see yourself like mentoring folks more?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a really good thing because a lot of also because there's so many skateboarders, a lot of stuff is lost in translation. So a lot of kids are like, "What are you talking about? That what?" I'm like, "No, this is what it is." So it's just it's good because we need to also preserve the sport to make sure everyone knows what it's about from all around the world, not only west to east, east to west, like all around the world. We got to show what skateboarding was overall. It was a challenge for everyone everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially like during our time growing up, like the 80s and 90s. That was like, it wasn't like something that was like, yay, that was like, we're just a small group. When you look at it, you're like, we're tiny.
Yeah. I mean, and now it's yeah, again, like I see skate videos of like kids in my neighborhood and like I'm in, I live in the Midwest, man. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. There's, we do have a skate park here. Yeah. But it's just, it's nuts.
I know. Like back in the day, you hear somebody rolling, you be like, holy shit, somebody's skating around here. I'm not. Now it's like you hear everywhere, like, whoa, like, who are these? Before it was like, you knew who was skating down the block. Now I'm like, who is that kid? And who's that kid? Like for me to go to the train, like, which is 4 blocks away, I see at least 20 kids, like, that aren't hanging out with each other. It wasn't like the way we were, like a group of bandits. It was like, like just one, like, there and one other one there. I'm like, where are they going?
As New York has evolved a ton, do you feel that there's parts of New York for you that are still the way that they should be? And if so, like, what are those places? Restaurants or?
I mean, I still got my places like I like to go to. I don't know. It's just it depends where you want to go, right? Yeah.
So if someone comes to you and they're like, Alex, where are we getting dinner tonight? Where do you take them?
I take them either somewhere in Soho still. I still love the energy of Soho no matter what. I don't know why. Really? It just attracts me. And then the Lower East Side.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Classic stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I remember when I first moved to New York, I was on Norfolk and Delancey.
Oh, wow.
And I lived with this jazz musician named Bill Ware, who was in this like jazz group called the Jazz Passengers. And it was this guy, he played the vibraphone. And this was like old New York at the time, at least for what he was living in. I mean, I was there 2004, so it wasn't really old. And they did shows with Debbie Harry of Blondie. Nice. And like my first night in New York was Bill, Roy, and Deborah Harry in our apartment, like,
that's amazing,
doing whatever. And I remember I called my dad and I was like in tears. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is freaky. And they were going to Tonic, which was right across the street from our apartment.
Okay. You live right there. I know exactly where you live at. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was 106 Norfolk.
Yep.
And, that night, Yoko Ono was doing some bizarro yelling poetry reading
As she
thing
does.
at Tonic that night. And like, I remember being there and I was like, holy shit, like this is New York. And I didn't even at the time, like I couldn't connect someone like, you know, like I knew who Blondie was, but it didn't like resonate, you know, and she was chill as hell. Yeah. But it was just nuts to me. And, you know, the apartment was a shithole. There was like a hole in the wall. It was like one of the last places, you know, he eventually took a bunch of money so they would move out because was like rent controlled or whatever. And I mean, and then I would go see him. He'd play at like Acme and stuff like that, you know, and it was just like vibes, like not the slang, like vibraphone. Like he would just go and just play vibes everywhere. And, you know, I remember going there and Bill had a skateboard and Bill was skating around and he was like, he ripped, man. He was crazy good. And he was just like doing kickflips and stuff down near Delancey. And I'm like, this guy it was nuts. And like, when I think of New York now and I think of like some of the best times of my life, like it was, even though at that time I was scared out of my mind and had no idea what I was doing, like that, there's something about the energy of that time, like the innocence, the fear in a way that is almost comforting. It was, yeah. I mean, a huge respect for obviously everything that like you helped kind of create in this skate scene.
Man, it's like, it's not even only, it's all of us. Like we did it together, you know, us New Yorkers, you know, it's something that was very, very, very special. Very, very special time. It's can't ever see it being recreated ever again. It's just,
does that make you happy or does that make you sad though?
Makes me happy, but you know, kind of sad. It's a little sad, but very happy that we put that work because again, with all the dangers that we were dealing with and all the shit that we had to deal with and like crazy time.
Yeah.
Crazy innocent time. It was just special. But like I said, I'm glad everyone's rocking out still. I'm glad that we're growing in numbers like it's rapid fire.
Yeah. Well, we're starting to wrap up, but I have a series of random questions here for you before we go.
Go.
If you were making a YouTube how-to video, what would the subject be?
How to be positive in skateboarding and life.
Damn. Respect. Okay. What's the last movie you saw?
Ooh, what did I just see? I just saw the Halloween Kills.
Oh, damn. Okay. Thoughts?
I loved it. That was funny. They finally crushed him. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. No, you're good. Are you into horror movies?
Love horror movies. Right now, before I got with you, I'm watching Bones and All.
Oh, okay.
That one's, I was like, oh, I got to get on. I was like, whoa, but I'm seeing it's pretty gnarly. I love it.
Yeah, that's a freaky movie.
Yeah, it is.
What's your classic horror movie?
My classic, Dawn of the Dead, the original one from the 70s.
Oh, damn. Yeah. I got into like, what was that account? It's called like Shudder or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, the Shudder account.
I got like a coupon for it and was like watching all these horror movies and man, there's some pretty incredible cinematography in these things too. A lot of people like, it wasn't just some crap, you know, slasher with ketchup packets.
Yeah. And see, also the original Conan the Barbarian. Not the second one, the first one. The one that Dino DeLawrence did. That one. That was very classic. That was very well done.
Not the Schwarzenegger one.
That's Schwarzenegger one, the original one.
Okay. Yeah,
the first one. Very first one.
Have you watched that movie with Schwarzenegger's commentary?
No.
Oh, you gotta do it.
All right.
It turns the movie into a comedy because like the whole time, I swear to God, you can watch some of the clips on YouTube, but Arnold is basically like narrates the movie. Cause like with director's commentary on DVDs, a lot of people, you know, you want, oh, in this scene, we used this camera, we did this sort of thing, this was the storyline. And Arnold basically like, it's like he's watching it for the first time.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I remember this scene. Yeah, that was really cool. You know, and it was like, well, yeah, but like his insight and his comments on everything, it's hilarious. It's like comedy gold.
Right.
You got to check it out.
Definitely.
What's the last album you heard?
Last album I heard. What's like them?
that you like?
That I like? Nah,
Yeah.
that's a hard one.
I
love
Faded music isn't what it used to be. It's
No,
not
it's
skating.
not. It is music also where you're just like, huh? Nah, I guess I've just been DJing a whole bunch of stuff. So it's a lot of punk, hardcore, disco, bunch of everything.
Okay.
I just did my second board release with HR from Bad Brains, and he
Jesus.
performed. Yeah. So,
I told him.
so yeah, that was last Saturday. It was cool. It was great hanging out with HR, and I was like, wow. I was like, you have inspired my life forever. On day one.
You tell him that?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I told him that before. I didn't tell him on
How's
this.
he respond to that?
Oh, he's just like, Ja, he's tired. He's getting old.
Yeah, I mean,
for somebody that's been jumping around the way he has since the 70s, I understand. It's like, it's like skateboarding. Yeah, after a while, it's like, this is all I got.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing, because I feel like sometimes, especially now, where like people talk about like never meet your heroes or whatever, and sometimes you'll talk to them, and you think they're the Dalai Lama, and they're about to say the most thought-provoking, wisdom-soaked thing ever.
Yep.
And you find out they're just normal people just trying to do a job,
trying to live, tired,
trying to live, trying to pay their insurance and all that crap.
Yeah.
And it's in a way, I think it's really humbling, because you recognize like we're all way more similar than what we realize.
Oh no, of course. I mean, remember skating over 12 hours a day, every day, then going out at night. That's New York lifestyle. That's what we did. It's like skating all day from morning to night, go out. And if you still had it in you, go out after the club. That was so, and like when I think about that every time, I'm like, where the hell did that energy come from to just go, 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 go?
Yeah. Well, hopefully it wasn't too much illegal substance.
To each their own.
Yeah, it is funny. Like all the people from that era, they're all sober now.
Yep. Oh yeah. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sober is like the cool thing.
Yep.
It's like kids are being like, yeah, I'm sober. And I'm like, you're a kid. You better be sober. What are you talking about?
Don't do what we did, kids.
Yeah. Last thing,
Yep.
a movie or a book or album that describes you.
Ooh. Movie, book,
or like something that when someone mentions,
yeah,
you're like, oh, you get me. That obviously isn't full bleed.
Yeah. I think it'll be Dabrin's Eye Against Eye album.
Oh, damn. Very classic banger.
Yes, yes, it is. There's everything in there. It's just like, energy that I have, the energy that I was putting out there. It's just like, that whole album was just like amazing.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, thank you again
Thank
so
you.
much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you again
This is
for
awesome.
your contributions to skate culture and skating. It was a huge, huge, huge honor to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks again, man. It was great to meet you. You've been listening to Blamo. Thanks so much. Our show is produced by Blamo Media. We're edited by Amar Lal, and our theme music, as always, by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. If you like what you heard, come on, share the pod with a friend, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or give us 5 stars or whatever it is on Spotify. The stuff you do when you like things, you know. Follow us on Instagram for all the hot content at Blamo Podcast. And if you want to talk to us and give us your hot take, we'd love to hear from you. Just send us an email at info@blamopod.com and we'll put it in a future episode. If you want to hang with us and join the Blam fam, visit patreon.com/Blamo, where we have tons and tons of exclusive episodes, exclusive shows with the Derek Guy Presents show. I don't even know what it's called. Blamo Presents Derek Guy and the Triple J show, and our incredible, amazing Slack community. All right, everybody, that's it for me. See you soon.